That's what it is. Top four's in our hands at the moment. We can't deny that. I do want to talk about De Gea. I'm not afraid to talk about this. Right, I'll start off with something. Right, if I had £1 for every time somebody told me how important playing out from the back is, I'd be a millionaire. But I tell you what's more important than playing out the back: stopping goals. And in David De Gea, I still believe we've got one of the best goal stoppers in the world. Man United want to sign him on a new contract, which means the manager wants to sign him on a new contract. That'll do for me. That's my point, right? In relation to the Arsenal game, I think that the Wan-Bissaka mistake cost us the game, without a shadow of a doubt. We're 1-0 up, we give a soft goal up, and that cost us. It cost us, right? If Wan-Bissaka deals with Nketiah, I think we go in 1-0 at half-time. And then Arsenal have got a different game plan, and so have we. But we didn't. We made a stupid mistake on the back post. It's 1-1. The Saka goal is absolutely nothing to do with David De Gea. The same as the Rashford goal is nothing to do with Ramsdale. They are just... I've been on a training ground. I remember watching a clip of Teddy Sheringham on The Big Breakfast probably 30 years ago. And he was about 40 yards out against what was probably a League 2 goalkeeper, and he scored 10 out of 10. And I was like, how is he scoring from that far out against, a reasonable goalkeeper? Top class players can beat a top class goalkeeper from distance. They can. If they catch it right, they can. I think some people say you shouldn't get beaten from there. And I think a goalkeeper would hate that, because it's not always the case. You shouldn't get beaten from 30 yards if you've had a good look at it and it's in the area where you can save it. But if they're curling it into the bottom corner from outside the goal, like Saka did or Rashford did, it doesn't matter how good you are. You're not going to stop it. There was one bit in the game that I will criticise David De Gea for, because I will always criticise players I like and players I don't like, because that's about being even-handed. There was a point in the game where the ball went really high in the box and it's a catch. I would have tried to catch it and I probably wouldn't have caught it. And he punched it, and I was like, "What's that all about, David? That's a mistake. That stood out big time." But again, people start. We're in a really dangerous position when people hold agendas that they just won't drop, because I don't think that's supporting Manchester United. I think that's about that agenda being right, and it's dangerous. I saw it with Luke Shaw. It went on for years. You get certain people who have certain agendas and they will not drop it. Now, I got into a bit of a conversation with someone a week ago, and we had a bit of a back and forth, and actually we get on all right now, because we had a conversation about it and I understood what he said and he understood what I said. Look, I get it. If you want to sell David De Gea, that's absolutely fine. But he's not being sold. So going on and on about it and making compilations about it, you're not the manager of Manchester United. I learned this a long time ago. I'm not the manager of Manchester United. I'm not. And David De Gea is our goalkeeper and Ten Hag picks him. And until that changes, I don't really see what the problem is. I certainly don't see clipping up David De Gea punching a ball and Arsenal scoring 15 or 20 seconds later. I don't see any comparison with that. And as a manager, I would have a word with De Gea about that moment. I wouldn't say it cost us the goal. I would speak to De Gea and say, why didn't you catch that? Why are you punching that? Catch it. We've got possession of the ball. I would be saying that, because that is a mistake. Whether Arsenal go and score 20 seconds later or they don't score at all, that's still a mistake. But the goal that's scored that wins it isn't because he doesn't catch the ball. It's because McTominay overcommits to try and slide tackle a pass and then he's out of the game, which leaves us a man short in the middle. It's because the cross, I don't know who it is it Fred or someone, they dive in when they should stay on their feet. It flicks up to Nketiah, who gets a foot on it, and De Gea would have saved it if he hadn't. Things go wrong in football games and momentum. But look, I don't think it was... I think there was mistakes in that, but I just think that there are... Certain players get a free ride and certain players get targeted, and I'm not here for that, because I'm seeing it with Anthony as well, and I think people are going to get proven wrong about Anthony as well. I saw it over... Look, I think that David Raya at Brentford's fantastic. Fantastic goalkeeper. He's like having a number 10 in goal. His distribution is fantastic, but Could he come to Manchester United and play in front of 75,000 fans and do that? Bartes came to Manchester United. He was good with his feet. He couldn't stop messing about. He couldn't stop making mistakes. At some point, the penny will drop with these people that you cannot go on TikTok, put a little clip up and say that this is the goalkeeper for Man United. And yet people will do it because they're not taking... It's like going to university and not doing life. I'm going to university, I'm going to learn how to be an accountant, but you've never been an accountant, and you'll learn about being an accountant by going to be an accountant. Yes, you've got to study it, but then you've got to go and do it. You can't pick a goalkeeper for me and say they're going to be better than David De Gea, because I know that David De Gea, in the big moments, will make the big saves like he has done for 10 years in front of 75,000 people or wherever. I don't know that this up-and-coming goalkeeper isn't going to get swallowed up like we've seen many and spat out because of the enormity of the job. I don't think goalkeeper's a problem. Some people do. But you cannot tell me that such and such goalkeeper is going to come into Man United and do better than David De Gea, because you're missing out on the biggest, most important factor in the world. And you can speak to any player that's played for United and they'll verify this. Playing for Man United is different to playing for Brighton, for West Ham, for Stoke, for Porto. It's a different intensity. It's a different expectation. And, you know, you might be one of the best ball-playing goalkeepers in the world. You might be one of the best shot stoppers in the world. But have you got that 100% mentality and big game mentality to play for Manchester United? Because I've seen keepers come and just disappear in, you know, they almost get swallowed up. So, and also, just talking about the distribution, the ball that De Gea played out wide to Luke Shaw was a mistake because Luke Shaw wasn't there. But I was talking to Ben Foster about this yesterday, and he said, but as a goalkeeper, you're in the moment and, you know, he knows Luke Shaw should be there and he's made a mistake. But people are going like, well, he's kicked it into the crowd, what a twat. But, you know, he thinks Luke Shaw should be there, and in that second, he's kicked it there. Those things can happen. You've seen loads of players in midfield kick the ball out of play and you go, why they've done that. These things can happen. And as for and another thing as well, as for the long balls that aren't accurate, I saw 3 long balls from David De Gea against Arsenal that were perfect for Weghorst to go and win. He just got beat by Gabriel or Saliba. Because Weghorst in the air, although he's about 9 foot, isn't actually dominant in the air, and he didn't win the ball to hold it up. And yet I saw somebody saying, well, Robert Sanchez is brilliant at hitting long balls for Welbeck to hold it up. Welbeck's probably a better holder up of the ball than Weghorst. Oh, but Weghorst is so big. Watch them back. There was a lovely ball into the centre circle for Weghorst to go and win, and Gabriel just came through the back of him and won it. Well, as a goalkeeper or a centre-back, I can knock the ball into the area, but if he doesn't win it, that's what offensive duels are all about. How many can you win? It's not always the ball. When a ball's going 50 yards, that means it's going to take a couple of seconds to go 50 yards. That gives the defender an opportunity to go and move into the area. You as a striker have got to be strong.